walks into an employment office and in perfect English says, "Excuse me, madam, I've come to seek a job." And the receptionist says, "Oh my gosh, I understood everything that you said. That's amazing. You could easily work in the circus." And the dog says, "Well, what would the circus need with an architect?"
Oh my God. TJ, we went live. Welcome everybody to episode 143 of Sawdust Talk. We are joined tonight by James of Honest Hands Studio, our Canadian friend, and we are excited to get to know him tonight a little bit better. TJ, do you want to run through some sponsors before we get going?
Yeah, I'm going to do my best. So we've got to thank Hannah and the team over at Surf Prep. Jessie, do we know if we're going to be... No, Hannah is not going to be there, but the Surf Prep squad and the booth is going to be there at Workbench Con in just 5 short weeks away. Everybody's very excited about that. When you're there, get your hands on some of their foam back abrasives that fit onto their various sanding systems. You want to get into the nooks and the crannies and make sure you've got the smoothest, most easy to touch nooks and crannies. Boy, howdy, Surf Prep's got you covered. The other person we need to thank is Layla over at Casey Bombshell Designs, who is not only an awesome tattoo flash inspired scroll artist, but is the host of the Sawdust Talk merch website and is doing all of our printing and fulfillment because she is a rock star. So thank you, Layla. Also, need to talk about Makers for St. Jude. New goal, new year, new objectives. We're going to do 50 grand this year. I believe in you, and I believe in me, and together we can take the cool stuff that we make and make it do cool stuff for people who need our help. To get involved with Makers for St. Jude, reach out to Mike Suter over at Woodworker vs. Cancer or the Makers for St. Jude project. There's already a serving board that is listed for auction right now from a former cancer survivor, which is even cooler. So they're emotionally tied to the project, and it's gorgeous. It's got handles and a little bit of epoxy. It's gorgeous stuff. And finally, don't forget that we have a Patreon. If you want to buy us a cup of coffee, our Patreon is as low as $5 a month, which helps Jessie and I buy things like airplane tickets and do cool stuff like that. Okay, what did I miss?
You didn't miss anything. You did great. Thank you.
Yes.
You still got
Perfect.
it, man. James, welcome.
Good job. Hi.
Thank you so much for being
Welcome,
here.
James.
Thanks for having me.
Why don't we start with the softball? And who are you? Why are you? Where are you? All the things.
That's the softball.
How did it happen?
How did it happen?
And why now?
So many reasons, so many questions. Where do I start? Well, I'm James McKeegan. I'm from Edmonton. Well, I'm living in Edmonton, Alberta. I'm originally from the East Coast, but I've been out here about 10 years now. I run my own thing. I'm still not sure what to call it. Honest Hands Studio. I make art. I do some woodworking on the side as well. I do plan on doing more of that eventually, but it kind of just happened. I mean, it was kind of almost a COVID thing, but not quite. I originally was in carpentry, and I was working for a renovation company. I mainly did the finish work and all of the intricate stuff. And that company essentially dissolved in 2020, just as the pandemic was happening. And then I went and worked for another company for just under a year. And then I was trying to find work and couldn't really find anywhere that was really all that reputable. And I just started doing stuff in my garage. I originally started doing mosaics. I don't know if you guys follow Ryan at the Birch and Bloom. Her stuff is crazy. So I started out with doing that, but it didn't really feel fully my style. I still enjoy it. I've got a couple around my house and in some of my friends' houses and stuff, but I always knew I wanted to do something in and around like kind of tattoo style art. I've got it all over my body. That's kind of always what I've been drawing, and picked up a scroll saw and started going from there. And here I am, kind of half planned, kind of not.
I love the evolution of that. Like, I mean, anybody can find inspiration in something, right? But when you are like, hey, I love this, but I need to make it mine, I think that's where you really shine. So
Thank
I
you.
love it.
Yeah, that's kind of what the chase has been. I've always been doing something with my hands or some sort of art or something. So it's that forever chase. Also the ADHD mind where you always have a different hobby that you want to try out. And that's why I love the maker community. Is everybody's doing something a little different, but we're all one community. So I can explore all those different forms of art under one umbrella.
Right.
Yeah.
Where
So
did
one of the things that really
go ahead. You first. Me
one of the
next.
things that stands out about your portfolio that you have on Instagram is your use of color. Like it leaps off of the page. Are you doing all of that with rattle cans? Are you an airbrush guy, or can you talk us a little bit about, because like you've even got color gradients in pieces that are like pretty stunning stuff, man.
Thank you. Yeah, the majority of it is all just rattle cans. I know lots of different people. I know Layla uses the same brand. It's Molotov. I don't really know how to pronounce it, but it's a graffiti spray paint, but it's low pressure, so it comes out a lot slower, and it's not as, you can get right up on it, and it's not just going to blast the piece with paint. So because of that, it can really, it kind of just does the blending for you in a way. So if you just go back and forth with the same color or two different colors, it's generally not just like spray once and you're good. You kind of have to feather it back and forth and play with it. But because of that low pressure graffiti paint, it's really nice, easy to do that kind of stuff. But for some of the smaller pieces, if I do want some shading, I have a really cheap Amazon airbrush that I definitely couldn't do like real airbrush work with, but it does the trick for doing shading in small areas that these cans can't, obviously.
That's cool, man. But yeah, those colors just jump. And again, it's got that tattoo flash, like it's still on the wall brightness, not like it's on a barfly 30 years later, like it's got that fresh color to it, which
there is a part of my brain that kind of is trying to figure out a way to maybe have the art look like it is on skin in a way, but I still haven't worked that one out yet. But I do like keeping it looking like it's actually a piece of flash up on a wall, freshly painted kind of look.
You almost have to like blur it a little bit, because everyone knows tattoos over time kind of like fade a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen me, but I mean, same.
Yeah, they're not as crisp or solid lines, kind of like my pieces are now. But
10 years later,
there might be a way. I might have to like experiment with just a flat design first instead of taking it to 3D. But yeah, it's something I am working around in my head. I've even thought about doing a piece and like spraying rock guard for like a truck or whatever. Spray rock guard on it to give it that thick texture to almost look like the watercolor paper that's used a lot for tattoo flash. But then painting over that, I'm like, that might get tough for like masking and all that. But thought about something like that.
You can get bed liner in a spray can, man. Like,
something I've thought about. But
I want to know where Honest Hand Studios came from, the name.
That's another one that has a little bit of evolution. I can actually start by this photo over my shoulder. is a photo done by one of my old friends. God, probably close to 15 years ago now. I was with him in the car. I had a DSLR camera mainly for filming. I used to film a lot of snowboard videos, but because I had a DSLR and he was really into photography, I started getting into it with him. And he was sitting in the back seat of a car with his hand out the window, just taking a photo of his hand, but it made the background blurry. And I liked the way his hand was outreached. And I've always kind of had an obsession with hands because that's just kind of, it's what sets us apart. It's what allows us to do so many things, but also in photography, I just became obsessed with it. I have hundreds of photos of my own hands. I've just always, anytime I see a photo or anything involving hands, it's just drawn me in. So I knew I wanted to have something like that in the name. And then, yeah, when I was searching for a job, and I was on a job site for like 2 weeks with these guys that, like, on the outside, they looked like this big, crazy, amazing renovation company. But then it turned out their employees were just brutes to go in and do demo work, and they just subcontracted everything out, and then claimed it was their work. And it just didn't like it. And there was just so many different companies like that I was like, there's just no integrity or honesty in it anymore. So then I liked the alliteration of it too. So it became Honest Hands. And studio part kind of just came because Honest Hands on Instagram was taken by an account that hasn't been touched since like 2014 or something like that. But you can never get the hand. And I remember Cam from Blacktail Studio and his YouTube, he said he put studio in there because when he started, he wasn't sure exactly what direction he wanted to go, and studio kind of just encompasses multiple things. So I thought it was perfect because I knew I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, and I didn't want to nail it down to one thing. So Honest Hand Studio, that's where it came from.
I want to know more about filming snowboard videos. You can't just like touch on that and then just keep on tap dancing away.
Okay. Something specific, or just like what I was doing?
Yeah, like, was this
All
like a
of the
gig
above.
that you were doing, or is this
No,
how you had fun?
Just something I did. I pretty much always either had a camera on me or in my hands growing up. We have like 100 VHS tapes of family, like home movies. And by the time I got a little older and started doing like skateboarding or biking or snowboarding, I would steal my parents' camera and film us do stuff in the yard. And yeah, when I got a good group of friends that we all snowboarded together and we all started getting pretty good, I wanted to film it. I filmed my first one with me and two other friends in my front yard, and we were like using dumpster or just like the garbage bins as boxes, and I burned that to a DVD. I still have that somewhere. But no, I got really into the snowboard scene on the East Coast, and there wasn't really anybody. There was one or two guys that were filming it, but I liked filming stuff, so I just kind of became that guy in my group of friends, and I ended up making. I still have my old Vimeo. I think there's 99 videos on there, not all snowboarding, but mostly. And then I had a ton of my old Facebook, but that Facebook's gone to the void now. And so along with most of those videos, but yeah, that was kind of my thing for a while. I did make money off of one video, but that was it.
Hey, that counts.
Yeah. Wasn't really ever the goal. At one point, I thought about going to film school because I was really interested in short films and stuff at that time, because Vimeo was really getting popular and there's tons of amazing short films on there. But ultimately, that wasn't the path I wanted to take. It was definitely a lot more of a hobby, but in turn, it's kind of, I've got to dust off some of those learned skills that I had, because now I have to make reels all the time. So, And eventually I'm kicking around different ideas on doing YouTube and stuff like that too, but I still have to nail down exactly how I'm going to do that. But yeah.
I feel like that's like the jump that everyone takes. They're like, okay, we're doing short form. We know about recording, but how does your filmography background with snowboarding translate to reels, and then how would you translate that to YouTube?
If you like some of my reels, I mean, if you were to go watch one of my old snowboard videos, especially or pretty much any snowboard video that you would find that's only like 3-4 minutes long on the internet, it's almost like you almost want to call it like montage style. You pick a song, you edit it to the beat in places, and like the song matches how you want to edit it, and then you throw all the clips together, and there you go. And I've done that with reels a fair amount, where it's kind of montage. I'm not speaking. I'm not really like, there's no font or no text on the screen. It's just editing to the beat and stuff like that. And so that's kind of how I approached it at first, was just doing what I knew. As far as going into YouTube, I'm not exactly sure. I'm still getting used to hearing my own voice and doing voiceovers and stuff like that. So there'll be, I'm sure, parts of videos that would be like that. I don't know how extensive the whole royalty-free music library is like out there. The one thing I do like about reels is you can edit to a popular song, and you're not getting caught for that. But I'll figure it out. I do enjoy editing. I did it on a MacBook that technically none of the specs on it were good enough to run Final Cut Pro, but it still would. But to film or to edit like a 8-minute video was probably an 8 to 10 hour process. And then I would have to export it when I went to bed, hope nothing screwed up, and check it in the morning. So I'm sure technology is better now. So I'd like to do it again. I enjoy that tedious process.
So have you done any poking around in the royalty-free space? Like, I know that there's some Spotify playlists that claim to be royalty-free.
Okay.
But like, what I've encountered is in years past, I used to go live and just turn with a royalty-free Spotify playlist in the background, and whatever happened, right? Because I'm mostly focused on wood spinning at high speeds and, steel. But like, every once in a while I'd get a copyright ding, but all of them, you'd still be able to appeal them, and they'd be like, oh, it's from a royalty-free thing. And it's like, I don't know who
knows how that actually works. But
yeah, like what my robot did wrong. But have you poked around anywhere for that kind of stuff, or in your software? Or
I've looked in like on my phone on like the CapCut app, and they have a little bit of it. It's pretty minimal. I have searched on a couple websites pretty recently, because one of my buddies has a company. He makes rails and boxes and stuff for snowboard parks on the East Coast, called Coastal Jibs, and they made a Halloween video, and he filmed it all, sent me all the clips, and I edited the reel for him essentially. And then I ended up editing a second one, and I edited it. I edited it to a regular song, because my Instagram is a creator account. I have access to all those songs, but his business account is set up as a business account. They don't have access to most music, so he wasn't able to do it. So I had to change the timing and stuff and find a half decent song that still kind of fit the theme he was going for. And I think it took both of us like a day or two to find a good song, but we did it.
Are you still making boxes and rails and stuff like that for people, or
Me,
is
no.
most of your time? Oh, okay.
No,
Because that's how I got my start holding power tools in the early 90s. Like,
honestly, that's kind of pretty much my first, like, that's my first job with power tools, was working for my friend. He had just gotten a little piece of land with one of those build your own domed garages with a heat stove, no bathroom, out in the middle of the woods. And now, I worked for him throughout the winter. That was kind of my first time with power tools as well, other than a little thing here and there. But it was kind of one of the first things that opened my eyes to working with my hands. And so he has a lot of credit for that. But now he's got a full size facility in Quebec, where he's got a welding side and a giant paint booth and like everything. So he's doing pretty well with it now, which is pretty cool to see. He started it on his parents' front yard, essentially. Yeah.
So we need to. I have to ask you about Layla, because we've talked about Layla, and we need to talk about Layla. You're friends with Layla.
Oh, me. You said we've talked about. Okay, I wasn't sure if you're talking to me or TJ.
Yes, you and I.
yeah.
Layla.
Yeah. Layla
Connected with her.
just kind of happened through Instagram. I mean, we just started commenting on stuff, and then I noticed she has the kind of the tattoo style stuff as well going, and then it just turned into like, hey, have you encountered this problem before? And then it kind of just turned into talking almost every single day, essentially. So now we're always bouncing ideas off of each other and stuff like that, sharing pictures of our dogs back and forth. That's kind of most of the conversation right now. But yeah, she's definitely one of the people that I've met through the Instagram community, where I'm just like, I wish you lived closer, because we would hang out for sure. Like, we'd be good friends.
And you have not, and aside from Layla, you have had a couple instances of maker community stuff. You actually made something for another maker not too long ago.
The stuff that I made for Johnny Builds, is that what you're referring to, or something else?
Something else. It wasn't Johnny, but you can talk about Johnny.
I mean, yeah, Johnny bought one of my very first scroll saw piece, actually. It was the eagle. And then he wanted a second one, and it's the sparrow piece. And if you watch any of Johnny Build's YouTube videos, if you catch it when he's got the big wing it wall, you can see the pieces on either side of wing it. The piece for Hugh, is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. I see he said something in the chat. He says it's pronounced HughTube.
Yeah, he poked in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the last mosaic pieces that I've actually made.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I think I just had a bunch of thin strips of walnut, and I had a little sample thing of green. I was like, well, these two pieces go together. And as I was like starting to make it, I don't know what it was, but I just had thought of Hugh. He lives in Calgary, which is like 3 hours south of me. And we had only met in person once before that, but I don't know, for some reason, the colors together, I was like, this is making me think of Hugh. I'm just going to make a piece for him. So I slapped his H right in the center of it. And then, the next time he was up, I can't remember if he was bringing me something at that time or not, but we were chatting, and then I could see him looking over in the corner at it. And I was just waiting for him to notice that it was his H on it. And I guess the whole time he was like, that H looks a lot like mine. I wonder if he wants to sell that. Not thinking like, maybe that's for me. Yeah, I was like, no, that is your H, buddy. That's your logo. So,
Aww.
yeah. And then he
I
went
love
and
that.
stepped it up and made me a game of
penis?
Quarto. Oh, when he gave me the Quarto game, it came with like the Dick Fetty, like a giant handful of mini laser cut penises. Yeah. I'm still finding them in my shop. Like every time I sweep, there's one or two in the bin. So
That's
Oh,
amazing.
that's so
yeah,
cute.
he just came into the shop and started throwing them everywhere.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much.
Yeah. My little backdrop in the shop has changed, but before then I had just a little hand figurine, and he had one of his penis bookmarks, and he just like set it in the hand. So in my like stories for a few months, if you were eagle-eyed enough, you'd see a hand holding a penis in the background.
That tracks. That completely tracks.
Yeah.
Surprised it have googly eyes on it too.
Oh, geez.
I don't think it had googly. I might have had a googly eye on it, actually. I can't remember right now.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah,
we love you.
he's a character. Yeah.
For sure.
So what's next? What's on the docket? What does the future look like? We're still in the first month of the year. What does 2025 hold for you?
Hopefully more of the same thing, as in more of the pieces that I'm doing. But one of the more recent ones that I posted was that fish piece, and that was a recreation of somebody's tattoo.
Oh, cool.
I just shipped out another one that's done. It's actually like 4 feet tall. I did post a video of me scrolling it out, just the outline of it. But that's a full recreation of somebody's tattoo. I would like to do more of those. I think they're really cool, especially because if you love your tattoo enough to get a piece recreated, there's definitely a bit of a story behind it. So I like that. I do want to get kind of get into the tattoo shop scene in a way. Like I'd like to, I kind of rambled about this in a video recently. I want to be able to make different products that can be art, but also used in a tattoo shop. Like one person even messaged me being like, make a paper towel holder, but have like roses or something on the side holding the paper towel. I've seen a couple things recently where it's a big ink holder where it holds all the individual inked bottles, but can turn that into art. And I want to do more with hardwoods. I want to try the more like intarsia style or even inlay stuff. I'd have woodworking written in my bio on Instagram, and I've been just slinging MDF nonstop lately. So I do want to get more into doing a lot more woodworking as well, but putting my kind of artistic flair on it at the same time.
Yeah, I think we've all probably followed the Happy Life Wood guy who does the Nikes and the jerseys and stuff like that.
That's unreal stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. and now he's sort of transcending into sculpture instead of
making the actual full
stuff.
3D shoes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's wild.
Yeah. It's crossed my mind. I'm like, I wonder if I could make like a full 3D eagle or something like that, but still have the bold black like outlines and make it look like it's still the tattoo style stuff. But I think that's somewhere to work up to. That's not something I'm going to tackle right away, that's for sure. But
well, and a former guest that we had on recently, Dr. Sari, she does the applied mycology and the spalting out of Oregon State.
okay.
Where's your video?
I don't have an answer to that. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear. Keep going.
Okay.
There you are.
So
Hi.
You're
the
finicky
internet,
webcam.
computers and things.
Yeah.
They are extracting various colors and pigments and inks from funguses.
Oh.
And you can sign up for their Patreon that helps pay for their research at the university. And at certain levels, you can acquire various shades of fungal pigment that absolutely will color and stain and can be mixed and put on wood. And they have been at it for a while. So I can send you some links about that. But those pigments are used in everything from photovoltaic cells for solar power and all kinds of neat stuff because it's light fast and never fades. It's really cool. So
Neat.
If you want to dabble in that intarsia but sort of keep those bold colors, they might be the person to reach out to about how to go about combining styles and science and stuff. You might be honest.
Yeah. I've definitely thought about either keeping the color or doing kind of like you said, the Happy Life guy, or even like Chelsea from Evergreen Daydreams. Like her Intarsia stuff with all the dog portraits and everything is crazy. And she actually a little while ago did a piece that's an anchor, and it has that tattoo style because she had gaps left kind of where the black lines would be. And that made me like kind of be like, oh, maybe that's, yeah, okay, that can be done, because I've kind of had it in my head, if I make a full piece out of wood, am I going to stain the black outline? Or like, I still kind of want that look. I find without the black outline, sometimes it does translate, but it doesn't. I don't exactly know, but I like the way she did it, leaving a gap to just let the dark wood behind show through as the line work. But yeah. And yeah, she would be the one to talk to too about all the different, because anytime I've asked her, like, okay, I've got these two shades, but I need something darker, like what type of wood? I'm still learning to like all the different types of wood, and she's got just like a library in her shop of any color you need, but in wood.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I'll figure it out eventually. A lot of figuring out. I think that's what's on the horizon for 2025, is a lot of figuring out.
I did have a couple questions for you from the Instagram fam. Pepsi or Coke?
Pepsi.
Pepsi?
Yes. Coke gives me chest pains.
And oak or walnut?
Walnut.
Okay.
I generally like darker tones.
Yeah.
I mean, it's oak and walnut together are nice, depending on the oak, I guess. But
white oak, don't come at us, Sean.
Yeah. I would pick white oak over red oak though, but I just have had. I mean, it depends. Red oak stained black is like is beautiful looking. I really like that, but I not this past summer, but the one before, one of my friends had an elderly neighbor. He was like 97 or something like that, him and his wife, and they were both like, I think it's time to go to a home. Like, and he told him, hey, I've got a bunch of wood in my garage. You can have it if you just get rid of it for me. And so he called me up, and I filled the back of my old Ford Ranger, filled the whole bed up with wood that was probably like 90% red oak. There was some maple, a little bit of, I think, sapele, and I've, for the most part, worked through it, but it's just such a annoying, hard, like very hard wood to work with that I've worked with enough of red oak that I'm kind of don't want to anymore.
Yeah, we have pin oak everywhere in my city, and pin oak is so full of tannic acid that when they cut it down, it smells like a sick dog, right? Just because of the tannins inside of the oak. And the problem is that it's a lot easier to turn when it's green, right? And it's still relatively attractive, but like you're cutting shavings and there's dust and sanding, and it's like it's real gnarly.
Just
and
doesn't smell good.
It just still hasn't become an acquired taste for me.
No, I can imagine not.
It's kind of like if you ever work American elm, right? There's less and less of it.
Yeah, I can't say I have.
Yeah, American elm smells like horses and pee, but not horse pee. It's like it smells like a wet barn, but then also pee.
Like if yeah, after a couple beer and you pee on the side of a barn, that's what it would smell like.
Yeah. No, working with green wood is really weird because you get a lot of exciting smells. Cottonwood is another one that I'll just let you look up. Nobody really works cottonwood. I mean, it's a dicot, so it's technically a hardwood,
Yeah.
but it's not super
It's
durable. And they grow so big here, right? So like we have like 5 foot across cottonwoods all over my city, which is crazy. And they grow crazy tall too. But yeah, you can Google what the inside of a cottonwood tree smells like when they cut one down, because it is pretty
I'll have
tart.
to try to remember to do that.
Yeah, we'll talk about it after the show wraps up. But yeah,
The only reason I like cottonwoods is because morel mushrooms grow near cottonwood trees. That's the only reason I like cottonwoods. That's it.
well, that's good to know, because I know where there's abundance of them.
It
also
it's being a hardwood, it must get turned into like a lot of stuff there, though, if you guys have so many of them. Or
no, again, like I live in the burbs, so I wait for Midwestern tornadoes to come and knock trees over and break something, and then I get free wood.
yeah.
But okay, as silly as it sounds, wood literally grows on trees, right? And I'm blessed to be in the Midwest where we have an abundance of them. So yeah, but red oak smells bad, or at least the stuff that we have.
Yeah. I mean,
White oak smells like
it doesn't
whiskey.
smell great, but
Okay, next question. What's the project that challenged you the most?
project that challenged me the most. As soon as I'm one of those people, as soon as you ask me a question, my entire past just like disappears out of my head. I just heard my wife laugh downstairs too. She probably heard me say that. Honestly, the process of getting even to where I am has been one of the more challenging things that I have done. Just trying to build a business in general. I've had different projects that will challenge me, like the one I just did. The paint just peeled off. I don't really know why. It peeled. I masked it with vinyl, and it was permanent vinyl, even though it shouldn't have been. I shouldn't have used that, but it peeled the paint and the primer at the same time. I'm not sure why the primer came off. Hasn't happened to me in over a year. I've had other ones. I was about to send one out, and I just had it sitting in my messy office, and I ended up kicking a piece that literally hit the ceiling. I kicked the piece off of it so hard. So I think that none of them have been, I don't think one stands out as like the challenge, but the most challenging thing I've definitely done so far has been trying to make myself into a business. But it's also been the most rewarding thing. I don't think that's anything new to say. I'm sure I'm sounding like a cliche, but yeah, that's been the most challenging but most rewarding thing about it.
You're talking to somebody called Building Jessie, and I named myself that because I'm eternally building myself.
Yep.
I don't know where I'm going. I don't know the end result. I'm just here doing what I
feel
do.
kind of dumb for not even thinking of it that way. Yeah, that's a great name in that sense.
So you are, you said, well, you told me, your wife works from home a couple days a week.
Yep.
She's outside the home, but this is what you do full time.
Yeah. Yes, this is what I do every single day. People are like, "Oh, so you do it full time? You've got a full-time job?" I'm like, "Yeah, but it's still a new business, so I wouldn't say like I'm not getting paid full time or anything like that yet. But I have an amazing wife that basically, when I was in a deep pit of depression and started tinkering a little bit in the garage, she was just like, hey, I've got this for now. This is what you need to do. Like, go do it. And she's been helping me and supporting me the whole way through. And I couldn't be more grateful for that. So, and then to have her also work from home, it's been nice. And the dogs love it as well, having us around all the time. So yeah, this is what I do every day. I kind of don't stop doing it. If I'm not in the garage, I'm drawing. If I'm not drawing, I'm doing something on the computer. But yeah.
That's
awesome. I love
okay. So the time is now 9:56. We do need to take one more lap through our sponsors before the show is over. And then I think we're going to do our final question and put a bow on it. What do you think?
Sure.
Great. One more quick shout out to Hannah and the team over at Surf Prep. I have tried a wide variety of abrasives and sanders. And I got to say, boys and girls, you should be doing Surf Prep. There's others out there. They're fine. Get on the Surf Prep train. Hannah told me to tell you that, and I agree. Let's see here. We need to thank Layla over at Casey Bombshell. Thank you for hosting our merch. Guys, please go rep a Sawdust Talk shirt because it's what all of the cool kids do. And then we've got Makers for St. Jude. $50,000 is the goal this year. If you want to get involved, if you want to donate a piece of work to raffle and send the proceeds to St. Jude, get a hold of me or Jessie or Mike, and we will get you a page and we will hold your hand and we will make your life as simple as possible. And then Patreon. Yeah, buy us a cup of coffee if you feel it. $5 a month or more. Okay, so the final question is every episode we ask our guest to come up with a motivational thought or a quote or a reason for our viewers and listeners to get excited about going out to their shop or picking up a tool or making a mess or just getting generally awesome. What would you like to share to the rest of the class?
That one's always a tough one for me. I always struggle with quotes in general or like metaphors and stuff like that. They always kind of in one ear out the other. I always forget them. So coming up with my own is kind of always tough. But I think one of the biggest things is kind of like what my wife said, is just you do it. If you have an idea, if you have something that you want to do or something in your brain that's itching to get out and like burning a hole in the back of your head, you just need to do it. You need to start somewhere, even if the first one absolutely sucks, because they always do. Nobody's good on the first try. And even if it just means the first day you stand in your garage and you stare at the tools in front of you, as long as you made that first step kind of thing. I mean, I still spend far too much time just standing and staring in my garage. So that's kind of part of the process. But yeah, just start, and it's not going to get done if you don't. So
yeah, if you do nothing, you get nothing. If you do something, you get something.
Exactly. Yeah. And something's not nothing.
What is your wife's name?
Nicole.
Nicole, you have words of wisdom. We appreciate you for making this man take the leap to do the art that he does, because we appreciate him in this community. And thank you, James, so much for joining us tonight. Again, this is Sawdust Talk, episode 143, and I think it's been a great night, and we really appreciate you joining us.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Of
Excellent.
course.
All right, boys and girls, we will see you next week. Maybe not same bad time, maybe not same bad channel, but we'll see you. And we got to ruffle our papers.